Thanks very much for joining me here on Scotland FX. My name is Stuart. Hopefully you've been enjoying the content I've been putting up, explaining the strategy I use for trading the Forex market, and the one I'm using at the moment, live testing on a small account with about $1,000 in it, or £1,000 I should say. Before I take the FTMO challenge, maybe next week or the week after, I may do the FTMO demo account first, see if I can be profitable on that using FTMO's rules and regulations. Make sure I'm not trading major news events, etc., holding trades over the weekend, all the things that they have in place, the rules they have in place to make sure that they're happy with the risk management. So I may do the demo account first before I take on the challenge, or I may just go straight for the challenge. We'll see how that goes. So yeah, what I thought I'd do, I took a trade yesterday and I had a video on that, a couple of pending orders that didn't get triggered. I just want to talk about the trade that I entered. You saw when I entered it, if you watched yesterday's video, I took a screenshot and put that onto my free Telegram group, so you can see when I actually took that trade and followed it live, and maybe your guys were following along yourselves with it. So I just thought I'd cover this trade. I want to talk about it, and I want to talk a little bit about when you're in a trade management. You obviously set your stop loss and your take profit, but sometimes you may decide to close a trade, break even or small loss, or take a smaller win, depending on what you see the charts doing. So if you're able to watch the charts like I was yesterday, and I was watching this trade quite closely, I actually closed the trade a little early, and did some things with the stop loss, etc., to make sure I was controlling risk very, very well. So I'm going to cover that trade right now, if that sounds good to you. If you could do me a solid, give this video a thumbs up, like the video, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I'll try and bring content daily to you and let you know what I'm doing as I go along, especially when it comes to the FTMO challenge. So that being said, let's jump straight over to that chart. So it was GJI. We're looking at it on the 15-minute at the moment. I'll go back to the 1 hour because I've been trading the 1 hour. So that was the setup there. The price came back down, and to be honest, I rather than setting a pending order, I'd love to have seen it come down and hit the 61.8 before rejecting, but I saw a clear rejection here just around the 50 and this previous price action zone, so I decided to manually enter. That's why it's a little bit late there. I'm a little bit above the 50, the 0.5 fib. So I entered there, 30 pip stop loss as I usually do, and I set the previous high candle body top rather than the wick, which is where I normally go. And the reason I do that is if you see here, for example, you get something like a double top, there's a good chance that if you've only targeted the top of the candle body rather than the wick, that you may actually, if there's a price, this is looking, as we can see now, this is clearly a change in direction of trend. But if I had put an order in here and it came back up, and I've set something way up, way up in the stratosphere, you're going to get stopped out. So I normally aim for the previous high only. Then that way, if it comes up, I can trigger my profit. So even if it ends up being a double top and reversing like this is clearly done, there's a good chance you're still going to hit your take profit. So with that being said, didn't quite hit the take profit yesterday. Let me switch to the 15-minute. And we'll have a look at that. So you can see where I entered. I entered in right here on this candle when I saw this clear rejection. It came down, hit it, bounced off it hard, and was rejecting quite hard. So I entered in here, and there was then a small pullback. I wasn't worried about, I really wasn't worried about it hitting because I've got a 30 pip stop loss, so I don't get stopped out prematurely. And you can see there that was only 8 pips. That was only an 8 pip drawdown. So I was watching the trade and I started to watch it quite closely. When I get to 1-to-1, something I probably not mentioned, when it actually got to a 1-to-1, so around about here, where would that, what candle would that be on? That would have been that candle there. So when I hit 1-to-1 at this point, I hit 1-to-1. What I typically do is I move my stop loss up to break even, to make sure. I actually normally go about 1.5 pips above break even, and then that way if you do get stopped out you should cover the spread as well, and any commission. If you want to cover commission, you really want to be about 3 pips above your entry, depending on your lot sizing. So I got to here, and it was on a, it was at 1-to-1 at this point. No, it wasn't. Telling you lies. It was over a wee bit. Yeah, it was. So I hit 1-to-1 here. Moved my stop up to break even, and I started to watch the trade. At this point, I actually switched to the 5-minute to have a better look at it and see what was going on. And what I saw here was actually, I can move this over a bit now. What I saw here was the fact that this I had a double wick top. So at that point, my take profit obviously was still set way at 1-to-2, so way up here somewhere. You actually can't see that, can you, because I've moved my stop loss, but I was set away up here somewhere. I saw the price come up here, and I looked and saw we had a spike and then a second spike, and it looked like a clear rejection. Then I started to see it reject just in about here again, and I thought, now this is a looking like, to me, looking like a price reversal, and I got out just about there. 136.35, almost exactly. So I got out there, and obviously my original stop loss had been 30 pips. Pull that back down. There you go. So I gave my 1-to-1.2 win on that trade, although it was risk free at that point because I said my stop loss was up. But from the initial entry, I got a 1.2 R on my risk. And I ended up closing out my trade something like that. So managing your trades very, very important. If I had left it up there, yeah, okay, I wouldn't have lost any money on it, because I was my stop loss was 1.5 pips above my entry price, so I wouldn't have lost any money on it at all. However, in saying that, I didn't want to lose 1.2 R either. So and I was looking here to the left as well, and I saw this price action over here, and I thought, it does look like it's rejecting. I've had a nice clean double wick. It's respecting this level. It's started to reject back. Oh, it did come up a couple of times and try and break through. You see clearly that didn't happen. So I got out here just to manage my trade. And it was 5-to-4 at that point, nearly 4 o'clock. So it was only an hour before I would normally stop trading anyway. And I thought, right, okay, I've made some money, let's get out of this trade. So that's what I did. So, just because you set a stop loss and set a take profit, you don't have to you don't have to stick to them. I had a 30 pip stop loss. As soon as it was 1-to-1, I moved it up to break even. I went just above 1-to-1, started to see some rejection here on the 5-minute, just watching the trade closely, and says, nah, I think this is going to reject down. So I closed the trade for a 1.2 R, which was absolutely fine. And then what actually happened, we saw that rejection coming and off this zone, and we started to reject down, and we're still rejecting down now. So with that being said, I just thought I would do this little quick video just to let you see about managing trades as well. Just because you're in, don't be afraid to, you might say, oh, I really wanted to get 2R, I set 2R, I think I might go 2R, but if there's something niggling at you like I had there, don't be afraid to close the trade. Yeah, I never got 2R, but I got 1.2R, which is better than a loss. Worst case scenario, would have come back and I would have stopped just above my break even for a tiny little profit, but I wanted to keep the profit I had, and something was just niggling at me that I felt the price was close to reversing, and as you see, actually it did. So with that being said, this is just a quick video. Do not be afraid to manage your risk, move your stop, move your take profit, and if you get a feeling that it may be turning against you, get out the trade. The amount of people that have winning trades, and I've been guilty of this myself in the past, you're on a winning trade, your trade's in profit, and just because you've set something up, you say, no, it's going to hit it, you get too overly invested in the trade, you get married to the trade, and you're watching it, and then suddenly it goes into the minus, you're in drawdown, and you think, no, it'll come back, and then it doesn't come back, eventually hits your stop loss. So I've learned, how many trades that's happened to me when I've been in trade, 1 hour, 1.5 hour even, and then end up closing the trade or hit my stop loss or closing for a loss. Don't do it. You know, if you're in nice profit, at least 1 hour, which I had, I was at 1.2 hour at that point. I was quite happy. Close the trade and take my money. What's better? What would you rather have? A loss? Absolutely not. Break even? Well, okay, that's better. That's better than a loss. Or, you know, at least 1 hour. So, you know, even if it was 0.5%, you know, take what you can get. I would much rather finish, even if it was, you know, half hour. I'd rather finish 0.5 hour up than break even or in a loss. So don't be afraid. And then, okay, yeah, it could have shot up in the stratosphere and you think, I've closed the order early, and you sort of give yourself a wee kick in the ass, but you shouldn't, because you finished in profit. And as traders, that's all we try to do: protect our accounts, you know, limit drawdown wherever we can. And if we're in profit, try not to lose that profit. Yes, sometimes you might get out a little bit too early. Here it didn't. It was almost bang on, as we can see here looking at the 1 hour. Almost bang on. I could have got at the top of the wick, but I wasn't. Obviously, I wanted to see a rejection before that happened. So I just wanted to talk about managing your trade. Do not be afraid to adapt your trade based on market conditions and what you see happening as you're looking at the charts. And as you see, although I might be trading the 1 hour, I'll go into the 15-minute and then even down to the 5-minute, so I can really see what's going on, and you know, manage the trade as closely as I needed to manage it to make sure I finished it in profit. Right, I will leave that there. Hopefully you've liked this video. If you have, do me a solid, give me a thumbs up, like the video, and subscribe to my channel if you haven't done so already. Thanks very much for joining me, and take care of yourselves, and I'll catch you in the next video.